Hello and welcome back to the Football Chat podcast. Today it is episode 135. We're continuing our series of looking through every club in the Premier League and rebuilding their side for the 23-24 season. Today we are on to Manchester United. Now, Red Devils enjoyed quite a successful first season with under the helm of Erik Ten Hag. Almost a lot of Solskjaer there, certainly not. But Ten Hag had a very good spell. Obviously they won the Carabao Cup. They got to the FA Cup final and they came third in the Premier League. That was third in the Premier League in the end, wasn't it? So a very good result all round. A great start to life under Ten Hag. And they'll be keen to ensure that this season is yet another good campaign. Shall we start with some more things from last season then? What impressed you most about Manchester United last season? Because there's a lot to talk about.
I don't really know. I feel like it was a mixed bag at times, 6-3 loss to City, 4-0 loss to Brentford, 2-0 loss to Brighton.
I think 7-0 to Liverpool is probably the biggest.
But then on the reverse, they beat City 2-1 at home. They picked up big wins against the other big six sides. It was just a really weird year. They beat Arsenal. It was a mixed bag of results. They managed to get P3. Do I think they'll finish third if other teams had done better? Probably not.
Well done, genius. If other teams done better than them, they wouldn't have finished where they did.
But a year where Chelsea, Liverpool all underperformed. I don't know. I think they
just had a good season though.
They were good, but I think other teams made them look better.
Yeah, but when we don't talk about Leicester win the Premier League as there's a massive fluke, even though it probably was. But Man United had a good start, I think, to life under Ten Hag. It took a while for them to adapt to his style of play, but there's some good foundational building blocks for the style of play he wants to play, for the sort of football that he wants to implement at Manchester United. And I think that's really useful to start seeing some really positive signs. Obviously, a couple big highlights is Marcus Rashford. He has been very, very good under Ten Hag. Ten Hag is coaching him to be a lot more confident and a lot more. His movement's a lot better. He's getting into the right sort of positions and he's finishing a lot of chances. He's played both on the left wing, but also as the number 9 at times. So it's good to see him excel in both of those roles. Then some other things we're seeing nice about Manchester United is, they've used a box midfield at times this season, which has worked really, really well. Obviously, when they've had Weghorst in there at times, but yeah, I think it's been interesting to see some of the tactical elements that have been implemented into this Man United system. And I think we'll only see more of these little nuanced Ten Hag moves in the future. I think he's a really good coach and he'll continue to find those little bits just to improve Man United every year. In terms of this season, though, there is a lot of personnel changes that need to be made as well. So we'll start with those contracts expiring. 3 players have left the club upon the termination of their contract. Well, not termination, but expiration of their contract in 2023. Namely Axel Tuanzebe, Phil Jones and David De Gea. Interesting one. David De Gea currently not employed by Manchester United. First time in a decade now. But do you think that they will re-sign him, or do you think they should look for a replacement?
I do not. If I was United, there is no way on earth I'm re-signing him. He was awful last year. He was absolutely awful.
He did make a lot of errors.
So many errors that cost him so many points in big games, in little games, no matter what. He was awful.
De Gea's the biggest flaw is his inability to play out the back. I think he's still an excellent shot stopper, and that has been proven at times this season, but he has also had some howlers when he should have been making some comfortable saves. I think his biggest weakness, though, as I say, is playing out from the back. Often he doesn't pick the right passes, or he plays hospital balls to his defenders, which then mean that they can't salvage that, and the attacking side often ends up scoring. So he's not suited to what Ten Hag wants to do, is how I would put it. And I think they'll definitely look to upgrade him this summer if they can. Yeah. I mean, they offered him a new contract at half his current wage. He agreed, and then they didn't sign it. Then offered him a new one at even lower. So I don't know, a bit of a weird situation. I think you've got 2 options there. You could promote from within. Of course, Dean Henderson has been sat on the sidelines, various loan moves away from the club. I think they'll probably favour a move for a new signing. There's a lot of good young goalkeepers out there that they could probably get this summer. But that is going to be a lot of money. Would they trust Dean Henderson? I don't really know. We'll talk more when we get into squad keep or sell. As for the other contract expiries next summer then, 2024 is a big year for contracts expiring at Man United. Firstly, Marcus Rashford. This is imperative they get this signed as quickly as possible. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Fred as well, Victor Lindelof, Anthony Martial, Alex Telles, Brandon Williams, Alvaro Fernandez, Tayden Mengi and Tom Heaton.
Half that list can go. Easily.
Yeah.
I think Martial, Telles, Williams, Fernandez, Mengi, Heaton can all go.
I think you'd probably look at selling a lot of them this summer.
Yeah.
I think it's weird that they blocked Heaton to move to Luton. I think the only reason they have is that they obviously aren't sure that De Gea.
Yeah.
Obviously, De Gea's left. They're not sure that Dean Henderson will stick around, and they're not sure they'll get a new goalkeeper. So it's probably smart to keep Heaton for the meantime. Tayden Mengi could be a very good Championship or League One centre half, so you could probably fetch a good £1 million for him. Alvaro Fernandez is
rubbish.
Quite a talented young left back. I think he's probably the most promising. I would potentially sign him to a new deal and give him a loan move this season. I think he's a good player.
All right.
But I haven't seen loads of him.
Brandon Williams and Alex can both go. Either be sold or let them run on their course. They are not
They're
great.
the players that can do a job, but I don't think they are good enough for what Man United are trying to do. For me, you'd sell him on this summer.
Martial, he's tried, he hasn't succeeded. Sell him.
Martial will be a sell for me as well.
Lindelof, very meh centre half.
I think Lindelof is a capable centre half. I think often he can be a little bit error prone, but even then, I think he only looks bad because he's alongside Maguire. Often when he plays alongside Varane or alongside Martinez, he looks very comfortable. So I wouldn't be too keen I wouldn't be too desperate to sell Lindelof. I'd definitely keep him around for now. Maybe re-sign his contract as well. Extend his contract because I think he is a good player. Fred, I think, is an easy re-sign. I think he's a good player.
He's quality,
you may be able to, if you can bring in someone like Frankie de Jong, then maybe you let Fred leave, but I don't think you're going to get Frankie de Jong. So Fred is a more than capable midfielder. And then Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I think we've seen the resurgence for him this season. Yeah. One of the best 1v1 defenders in Europe. And is, developing and becoming better by the day. He's played really well under Ten Hag so far. So, that's it for the contracts. Shall we get into the squad keep or sell?
Yeah.
Manchester United, quite a big squad, I would say. A lot of these are youth players, but we'll run through all of them. First up, David De Gea has, of course, left the club. And Tom Heaton, we spoke about briefly there, would let leave at the end of the season. They need a lot of
goalkeepers.
What do you do about Dean Henderson, then?
Well, I think you have to keep him. You're in a situation you have to keep him.
Yeah. Is he going to be happy staying?
I don't know.
Surely then you've got to offer him the number 1 shirt.
But will they start him?
Well, that's the thing. Do you start Dean Henderson or do you sell him? They're the options.
For me, is Dean Henderson good enough to start in the Premier League? No. But
yes, Dean Henderson is more than good enough to start in the Premier League.
No, not okay. Not in the Premier League. I mean, I'm talking elite football, Champions League finals, domestic finals. I don't know.
I think he's a good goalkeeper. I think where Man United are right now, it wouldn't be a massive problem. But if they're bringing in a goalkeeper for the future, that's very different. So if they are bringing in a goalkeeper who could be in a Champions League final in a good few years' time, then Dean Henderson's not your man. I wouldn't.
Their goalkeeper situations all over the place because you say it's either play Henderson or sell him, and I don't think they should play him. But if you sell him, you've got Nathan Bishop, and that's why
you've got Tom Heaton.
Okay, well, he's sticking around, isn't he?
Staying to 2024.
Oh, that's fine. That'll be fine then. They'll sign new. Okay, no, scratch that completely. That'll be fine. Sell Henderson.
I do think the only problem if you sell Dean Henderson is that the Man United ownership may panic by a goalkeeper. If you look at Chelsea in 2019, they sold Thibaut Courtois to Real Madrid. They panicked. They went and got Kepa. If you keep Dean Henderson for now, then you've always got that as an option. So I wouldn't look to sell him immediately. You want to move him on, but wait until you've signed a goalkeeper first and then move on Henderson once you have that keeper. You can start looking at moves and stuff potentially, but equally you don't want him to have his head in another place and suddenly you've got to make sure he stays. So it's a difficult one, but for me, you go sign a new goalkeeper, let Henderson leave and keep Tom Heaton to the end of his contract. On to defenders then, the first of which is Victor Lindelof, we've already spoken about, but then it's Eric Bailly.
I don't rate him at all. I think he's rubbish.
Spent the year out on loan, I believe. I don't know how well he got on, I'm sure we can have a look. But I don't think, unless he's been pulling up trees somewhere, I don't really see how he returns to this Man United setup. He's been at Marseille this year, where he made only 17 appearances, only 5 of which were starts. So not a great time in Marseille.
Absolutely poor.
And yeah, I don't really know. He didn't really play in the Premier League season before that. Yeah. He's barely played throughout his career really for Man United, other than 2016-17, where actually looked quite decent. But yeah, injury has been a big problem. Inconsistency has been a big problem. For me, you probably look to sell him this summer if you can find a suitor. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think you're going to find many suitors. No. But there will be. I guess there'll be someone out there that will pay $5 million for Eric Bailly. But yeah, not a fantastic player. Would look to sell. Harry Maguire.
Sell.
See, Maguire is very reluctant to leave Manchester United. Obviously, his contract extends beyond 25.
Absolute brain dead.
I don't really. It shows a lack of aspiration for him that he doesn't want to leave Man United. But why would you want to leave Man United?
It's like he lives in his own little world.
It's Man United.
And?
You're England's starting centre half. You play for Manchester United. Why would he leave? Wherever he goes, he could be on less money and probably won't get in England.
I don't think he has a choice. I think if United go, you're crap, I want to sell you, what are they going to do?
Well, they can't force him to leave. So that'll be his stance, I guess.
Just stay at a club that don't want him.
Well, that seems to be his stance so far. Man United, either way, would want around £40 million, which I don't think they're going to get. They want to try and recoup some of that money.
I do not understand United at all. They're just ridiculous. They're so unreasonable.
Well, no, they're trying to recoup as much money. They'll lower that, I guess, if they're trying to sell him. But
I think they'll be likely to get 20.
20, I think he's a very good 10.5. What?
No, he's not.
He is.
I've watched it. Last year, he's been tragic.
He's made some mistakes for Manchester United, yeah. But I think for England, he's proven he's a good centre-half. And it's just that his performances in United have earned this sort of meme reputation. He's still a capable centre-half. He just isn't. He isn't Man United quality. He isn't really England quality, but he keeps playing anyway. So I'll probably sell. Up next, we have Lisandro Martinez. A very contrasting view, I'm sure, that will be cast upon him. He is really good. I think the passion with which he plays the game, I think his work ethic is sensational. Really, really good defender. Always loves a good challenge. Never afraid to get stuck in. I think he's really, really good on the ball as well. So, a really talented centre-half. A future leader as well for Manchester United. Really solid player.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the club last summer as well, so I don't think there'll be many suitors, and I don't think he'd want to leave because he seems to have a good relationship with both the club, but also obviously manager Erik ten Hag. They both work together at Ajax. Up next, Tyrell Malacia. I think he had a mixed start to life for Manchester United. I think he's a very good, very capable young left back, but yeah, obviously didn't get those starting minutes over Shaw. Shaw then played a little bit at left back, and again, Malacia didn't really get a chance to left back because they put Dalot there. So he's not had loads of minutes this season. He did make 22 appearances, which is not bad for a debut Premier League campaign.
Just a bit weird.
And I think he'll grow. He'll develop into that role. He'll develop into the league. I think towards the end of the season, we start to see a little bit more physicality from him. He's started to bulk up a little. If he can get a bit stronger, be a bit more physical, adapt to the Premier League, I think he could be a good player for Man United in the future.
Yeah.
Rafael Varane.
Keep, obviously.
Yeah.
Brilliant centre-half. He's had a really good season.
I would say bring a centre-half to play back up because he obviously is a little injury-prone. You are losing a couple centre-halves. Obviously, Axel Tuanzebe and Phil Jones are leaving. Potentially, you're losing a couple others next summer. If you want to sell Bailly as well, there's going to be an excess of centre-halves there. I would say they've currently got 3. You start Lisandro and Varane, you rotate in Victor Lindelof, so I would add another centre-half, especially given Varane's injury record. But other than that, they seem to be really good, and I think Varane will start next season if he can remain fit. Yeah. But you do need a backup, because I would be concerned about his age and his injuries. Up next then, Diego Dalot, another player who actually had a really remarkable resurgence under Erik ten Hag. He's played really well this season, obviously rotated in the side with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He's done a job at left-back as well, so he's just a really solid player, Diego Dalot, and I hope he continues in this vein. Yeah. Looks really good. So yeah, a keeper with him as well. And I think a similar thing with Luke Shaw, they're starting defence for Manchester United. They've played well this season, they've been part of a very solid defence. Yeah. When they've not had Maguire in there, when De Gea's not been passing it to forwards, it's been quite successful, and Luke Shaw has proven his worth not only for Manchester United but for England in recent years, and I think he's just a really good left back.
Yeah.
Good on the ball, good getting forward, has shown his defensive acumen, also playing at left centre half as well. So, yeah, a really, really good player. And it's nice to see how it's actually worked out for him, because he was rated really highly back in the day when Jose Mourinho signed him in 2016, 2017, something like that. Van Gaal signed him, I think, in 2015. And then Mourinho was a big fan of him when he came into the club in around 2017. So he has long been someone who all managers seem to really rate as a player, but he's not really shown it on the pitch. Finally, this and last campaign, he's really starting to strike his stuff a bit more, and I think he had a really good year this year, which he should build on in 23-24. Alex Telles, then, we mentioned in the contract's expiring, but he does have only a year left on his deal. I think if you could get some money for him this summer, that would be good. I think he's not a horrendous player. He lacks a little defensive ability, especially to play in the Premier League, especially to play for Manchester United, but he's not a bad left back. We saw that when he was on loan at Sevilla. He could definitely do a job, but yeah, I think there's definitely he's definitely not good enough.
European side.
But yeah, I don't know how they're mid-table and in Europe, but
no, like European leagues.
Oh, okay.
Like Liga.
I think he'll still do a job in Europe. I think he's still a good player. I could see him. Yes, I think Serie A may be well suited to him. Anything where the pace is a little slower, where he doesn't have to get back every single time. Maybe we can play as a wing back. May suit him, but yeah, clearly good fullback going forwards. At Wan-Bissaka, then, we have mentioned probably an easy keep, right?
Yeah, it was a good turnaround for him this season, because when he first joined, it looked like an absolute waste of money. He didn't look too bad this year.
Yeah, what's he done so well this year then?
I don't know. I think he's just played well.
Okay.
He was crap when he first joined United. He really struggled. The price tag was way too big.
He did take time to adapt.
He looked like an absolute fool. And now he looked a lot more solid this year.
Yeah, obviously only a year left on his deal as well, so I would be looking to re-sign that, renegotiate that. You do want to keep the wage bill relatively low, so maybe not offering him too much. But if you can extend that contract a couple of seasons, that would be good. I think he's done really well this year. I think the difference between this season and other seasons, he looks more assured in himself. He's a lot more confident when challenging 1v1s with wingers. He's not so worried. He seems a lot more confident, a lot more comfortable in this team. I don't know whether that's something that Ten Hag has ignited in him or whether he has done a lot of work on himself. But he's definitely improved a lot this year. A lot on his game, but also he seems mentally in a better place. So, really good campaign for Wan-Bissaka. I'm hoping he builds on this, and if he keeps up this current form, if Reece James can't stay fit, and if Trent becomes a midfielder, I think maybe he can get himself into the England side.
Yeah.
I don't know if he still declares for England. I think he may have declared for Congo. I seem to remember that happening, but on the Premier League app, he is still recognised as English. So if he can still play for England, maybe if he has a good enough season, he is on the flight to Germany in 24. Brandon Williams, then, we've spoken about him already. His contract expires next summer. I would be looking to move him on. I don't really know who is the perfect suitor for him. He hasn't done well in the other Premier League loans he had, but he is still only 22, 23 years old, so a very good player, 22 years old. I don't really know, maybe Lyon. In fact, they're already losing Malo Gusto, so he could fill the role left by him. I don't know whether Lyon have replaced Gusto. But yeah, somewhere like that could definitely work, I would say. But yeah, and then William Fish and Alvarez Fernandez. We've spoken about Fernandez, and I think Fish is a youngster, doesn't have a face on the Premier League app. Into midfielders, Bruno Fernandes.
Obviously for United keep. I just don't like him.
Yeah, I think for a captain, he's not the perfect mould. I don't think he has the. I don't think he's got the perfect qualities for a captain. He's a little bit too passionate, a little bit too. He cares a little too much, but yeah, sure you could. I wouldn't use those words to describe him. I think he just plays with a lot of.
He cares. On the floor sometimes, isn't it? Like A-star acting, that is.
Is it though? Because he often doesn't get anything for it. But I think he's a really good player. I think for United though, I don't really know how he fits in. He can play in the midfield, of course, as that attack midfielder. Ten Hag hasn't really liked to use him in that role. Ten Hag has deployed him a lot on the right-hand side, I've noticed this season. But Yeah, I don't really know where he works in this team, so maybe look to phase him out over the future, but he's certainly a crucial cog in that system, not only on the pitch but also off the pitch. He is their captain, so yeah, it would be stupid to lose someone like that this summer, I think, for me. In a summer way, they've already had a lot of players, let's not take one away. Up next is Christian Eriksen, someone who's had a massive season under Ten Hag. Ten Hag obviously brought him in at the start of the campaign, and he's not took long to adapt to the speed. Obviously, he had a good year at Brentford last year, and now this season he's looking really good.
Yeah. I think I don't know why. I didn't expect him to do well when he first joined United. I don't really know why. I just didn't think it'd work, but it has worked. He's been dropped a bit for Fred, but that is Fred. Fred is quality. But Eriksen's done alright.
Yeah, I believe he may have picked up an injury towards the end of the campaign as well. I don't really remember seeing him too much towards the end of the campaign, but still a really solid 28 appearances in the league. He picked up a goal in that time. He also made 8 assists. So, yeah, back at his creative best. I think next season his importance will be lessened, but he will still be a very good rotation player. And having Christian Eriksen as a rotation midfielder, well, that is simply lovely. Really good player.
Yeah.
Up next, Fred.
Quality.
I think, obviously, you're already bringing in Mason Mount, and we'll touch on him later when we get to the signings. But, yeah, Fred could definitely still do a job in there. I think it really depends on who you bring in, but as one of the two other midfielders in that midfield three, or as well, he can, well, to be fair, they often line up with an attack midfielder and then a pivot. So Fred can play in there with Casemiro. That works really nicely. And yeah, if you could bring in someone else, if you could bring in a Frenkie de Jong, because obviously what Fred tends to do is pick up the ball in midfield and drive it forward, take a couple of pot shots, lay the ball forwards to players, lay it out wide, stuff like that. That is perfect as to what Frenkie de Jong does. That's why he is so loved by Erik ten Hag.
Yeah.
But Fred can do that role if you can't get de Jong or can't get someone of the similar mould. And then Casemiro came in last summer for £70 million. He's done really well.
Yeah.
Looks really good in that system. I thought maybe in the Premier League he would have struggled to adapt, but he's proven all his doubt was wrong this season. He's looked really good.
I think he's probably looked worse than he usually does, but that's because he's playing for Manchester United and not Real Madrid.
I don't know. I think if anything, he's looked more impressive this season. He's had a lot more to do. He has had some bizarre moments, of course, but overall,
he strangled Will Hughes at one point.
He did do that. Overall, though, I think he's had a really good campaign. Really good tackles and interceptions numbers, but what more do we expect? He's one of the best defensive midfielders over the last decade, and yeah, he's maintained that consistency throughout this season. Up next is Facundo Pellistri. What did you do with him?
I don't really know. I haven't seen enough of him, but
He's not really played for Manchester United. Only 4 appearances in the Premier League.
Is he good enough to be a squad player?
He's a really good player.
We'll keep him in.
Promising youngster. Again, though, you've got a lot of right-footed left wingers at the moment. He can play on the right as well. In fact, I think that is his preferred position. And that does work in United's system, to be fair. So, yeah, I would probably look at keeping him around. I think he's a really good player. You could look at loan move. That is always an option. But I think he's better than Elanga. Elanga, certainly. Anthony Elanga's not had a great campaign, but yeah, and he occupies a similar sort of role in the side as a rotation winger. So I don't know if it's between Anthony Elanga and Facundo Pellistri. For me, Pellistri's the obvious option. Of course, they also have Amad Diallo coming back from his loan at Sunderland. He's had a really good campaign. But again, though, he is on the right wing, but he does a different job to Pellistri. Pellistri is a right-footed right winger, someone who can go both ways, get to the byline, cross them in. But he tends to go to the byline. Diallo is someone that loves to cut inside. He can go out wide, can cut it in, but loves to cut inside. It doesn't really suit United's system, but he could also play as the attack midfielder in that role. So there's options for Diallo. For me, you would keep Diallo, keep Pellistri.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be too asked about letting Elanga go.
No.
So yeah, that sorts that problem then. I think Pellistri, though, on that right wing, negates the need to go and sign a winger as well.
Yeah.
And obviously you have Anthony, you have Jadon Sancho, so options there. I'd keep Diallo as well, but maybe if you keep Diallo, loan out Pellistri, I don't really know. But you could also play Diallo as an attacking midfielder. You could train Pellistri to play on the left-hand side as a Rashford rotation option, but yeah, you've got to either loan them out or give them minutes. If you're going to sign someone and you're not going to be able to give minutes to them, then you loan them out. If you can give them minutes, I would keep them around. Donny van de Beek.
I mean, let him out of wherever you've imprisoned him.
Yeah, I mean, he's made only 7 appearances. I thought maybe we'd see more of him under Ten Hag, but not even his old manager can come in and give him minutes. So I think you can pocket an easy 10-15 mil for a very good player there.
I
would do it. Yeah, I mean, I'd be looking to sell Donny van de Beek. Scott McTominay.
Again, what a season he had.
He's a good player, and I think he's finally proving it now that he's not the lone DM. He's not a defensive midfielder. That's quite clear. I think when we watch him for Scotland, he plays much more advanced in midfield. He scored a brace against Spain, of course, and that was a bit of a turning point, for my opinion, on Scott McTominay. He's just not been deployed in the right role.
No.
And actually, he played up front, I believe, in the youth team. So if you can play him in a more advanced role next season, he can definitely have a much better impact in the future for Manchester United. And then, onto the forwards then. Only the forwards left to go. The first of which is their number 9, Anthony Martial, who is spoken about. I would be looking to move him on this summer. Next up, it's Marcus Rashford, who we have briefly mentioned. I would try and renegotiate this contract as quickly as possible. 7-year deal, give him whatever he wants. But obviously his contract expires next summer. I'm surprised there's not been any suitors. I'm surprised no one's tempted to bid there because, he's a fantastic footballer, Marcus Rashford. And if he could keep up his form from this season going into next season, then I see no reason why he can't score even more than he has this year.
Yeah.
He did sort of taper off towards the end of the campaign, but a big February-March period has very much made his season seem sensational. I would have questions about whether he can be consistent, but we'll see, obviously, next season. Yeah. Up next, Anthony. I think he's a good player. I mean, you don't rate him at all, but
no,
I think he's a really good player. I think he has had his moments. He's not really adapted well to the Premier League as of yet, but I do think he's a good creator, and I think we'll start to see that more and more. As he grows in confidence as well, maybe we'll see more of those skill moves which made him such a popular face amongst Ajax fans. So, obviously some people aren't happy with some of his moves, though I quite enjoy that he likes to express himself on the football pitch. Very flamboyant player, Anthony. So I'd keep him around. Obviously, he only joined last summer, has a strong relationship with Erik ten Hag. Obvious keep.
Yeah.
Up next is Jadon Sancho. Again, a really talented player. Really struggled this year with not just his football, but also obviously his mental health. But we've seen Ten Hag speak openly about that, how he's been going to get help for that. I think he went off during the World Cup, just after the World Cup.
He took a break sometime.
For a break, which is, I think, great. It shows great match management from Ten Hag to understand what it takes to get the best out of his players.
He's like a different person.
Sancho has looked really good towards this end of the campaign since returning, and we'll see how he develops going into next season. And then, the only other person to talk about is Alejandro Garnacho. Do you view Garnacho as the rotation left winger? Because I think he's been really good this year.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's a few United talents that are very high. Like, I look back to when Elanga, was it last year or the year before, had a decent season and he was being held, he got a song, he got, everyone was saying, oh, brilliant talent, and now he's kind of fallen off.
I agree that Elanga was overhyped. I think he had one good game against Atletico Madrid and he got a song, but for me, Alejandro Garnacho is the real deal. I've watched a bit of him obviously playing in the Premier League. I've seen him in PL2 as well, some of the highlights there, and he is just a really exciting player, really good with the ball at his feet, great dribbler. We've already seen this season how even for the men's team he can have such a massive impact. We saw him come on in that game against Manchester City, and actually his much more direct style caused them a lot of problems in that game. So for me, he is a game changer. He is a more than adequate backup to Marcus Rashford, and I'd be keeping him around.
Be just to see.
So that is our keep or sell for the squad then. Now, on to some improvements. This is the bit where Harry usually falls asleep, but I'm going to bring some sensational improvements this week that he can't help but be stunned. But we'll start then with the goalkeeper, of course. David De Gea leaving at the end of his contract already. And it just makes sense to go and get Andre Onana. Really, really good goalkeeper. Great distribution. Has worked under Ten Hag at Ajax. And we saw in the Champions League final just how good his distribution is. Do you think Onana would fit Man United?
It's a no-brainer. Absolute no-brainer for him and for United. They need a goalkeeper and he's good and he's I mean, why wouldn't you want to go to United?
Why is Onana so highly rated then? Because obviously there's been a lot of talk about Onana. A lot of clubs interested since his season, but also the Champions League final. But what do you think it is about Onana that is so attractive to most of Europe's top clubs?
He just does what he's meant to do. None of this fancy stuff, none of this fanning around. He does what a goalkeeper should do. He stops goals. And he does that, and that's all he needs to do.
Say quite the opposite, really. Obviously, he is a fantastic goalkeeper, but you say he doesn't do much of the fancy stuff. Actually, he is very good. He's very much a flair goalkeeper. We saw that in the Champions League final. He loved coming out, loves playing as almost a third centre half in there, coming between the centre halves. Very high line he holds. It's a risky game, but he is a fantastic sweeper keeper. Comes off his line very quickly. Great with the ball at his feet. So for me, I think he fits exactly what Ten Hag is looking to do with Manchester United. Up next, it's Giorgio Scalvini, I would say. Defensive options. I think they need some defenders. Forgot to mention that, but I would go for Giorgio Scalvini, obviously the young Atalanta centre-half. There are a couple of questions about his height, but Lisandro Martinez is also very diminutive. Scalvini, I think, would be happy to play a rotation option first season with Marco Varane. Then maybe in 2024 you look at giving him much more minutes. I think he's a really, really talented player. Just 21. Is currently playing for the Italy U21s in the U21 Euros, and he is doing well there. So for me, it's a no-brainer. It is going to be expensive. Atalanta do drive a hard bargain, and he is valued at around that 60 million mark, which is steep, but
that's a lot of money.
I think he's a really good player. Really, really good player. He's going to be brilliant for the future. It makes complete sense for me to secure your future by bringing in a player of that calibre. Then we have Arthur Théâtre, the Rennes defender, obviously Belgian young left centre-half, left-footed centre-half. He is a good talent. I think, for me, he offers a much more cheaper alternative to Scalvini, but they don't do the same role. Scalvini's a right centre-half, Théâtre's a left centre-half. Théâtre, I would say, is less accomplished with his feet, though he is very good at the ball, with the ball at his feet. Scalvini, though, has been raised as a ball-playing defender. He's so comfortable in possession. And I think for me, Scalvini is just a better player. But obviously, at that probably double the price tag, maybe they'd look at Théâtre, obviously half the price tag, as being a better option. Depends what they do. They don't have many left-foot centre halves, so replacement for Martinez tends to be Luke Shaw. So maybe Théâtre is a bit more. If they have Théâtre and Lindelof as backups, not only do they save a little bit of money by not buying Scalvini, but they also bring in someone who can cover Martinez more adequately.
Yeah.
Midfield then. Midfield is somewhere that United look quite strong, but I would say a couple of additions aren't necessary. I think you need another attack midfielder, because while they have signed Mason Mount, of course, but I did also include another option, obviously, Marcel Sabitzer. Potentially he could come back from a very successful loan move. They probably won't look to make it a permanent because they have now signed Mason Mount, but when I was brainstorming some ideas, he was an obvious one. He looked good in his campaign.
Bring him back on loan.
I don't know if Bayern would be happy with that, but I don't know. It'd be interesting to see whether that could come to fruition. But for me, Mason Mount probably feels exactly what Sabitzer did last season and better. But maybe we'll see Mount deployed out wide as well, because he is a great creator, and that's where Ten Hag loved to have Fernandes. So, or Bruno Fernandes. So, I don't know. Maybe we'll see Sabitzer join as well. Then I think they need an energetic midfielder, someone that could play that role alongside Casemiro, someone that can drive that ball forwards. A cheaper option. Should we start cheaper or more expensive? We'll start more expensive. The ideal option for me is Manu Kone. Now he has, of course, picked up a big injury in the U21 Euros, which France have now crashed out of. But for me, I think he is one of the best young midfielders. He plays his box-to-box role really, really well. He could also play as a roaming playmaker if you want him to do that. So he can drive the ball forwards really nicely. Great numbers as well in terms of tackles and interceptions. That's what he does really well. So alongside Casemiro in that role, not only does it mean that if Casemiro's having a day off, it's not just, that's over, everyone's going to run through the team now. But it also just means there's a little bit more energy in midfield. I think Fred's a really good player, but I think Kone is just not great. That would be my other thing with Kone. Obviously, while he has that injury, Fred is more than capable to play that role for now. A cheaper option then, and someone who could cover it right back as well if, very dire situation, is Tyler Adams, the USMNT international, very accomplished in the Premier League, has played a couple seasons now something like that, with Leeds. Very good player. I think for me, he was one of the best players for Leeds as they were relegated last season. And at 20 million or possibly less, because you are negotiating there with a relegated side, he just makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So if you're looking for a cheaper option to Kone, or you're not happy that Kone is injured, I think Tyler Adams would be a great option as well. Then the forward area. Now the obvious one is Victor Osimhen, strongly linked with Manchester United, or well, has been linked with Manchester United. I just don't think it's going to happen. No. I just don't think that's going to happen. United don't tend to fork out £100 million for anyone that isn't Anthony. But I don't know. Big money transfers haven't worked out. I think you've got to focus more on the young talent, the bargains you can go and get. I don't think Osimhen is someone that Ten Hag will target this summer. So you probably also don't want to get into a bidding war with some of Europe's top sides who are also looking to acquire Osimhen. Yeah. So yeah, for me it looks like he probably won't join Man United. Other options, Kane has been strongly bounded around his name, of course, but I think he's more likely to go to Bayern Munich. United don't seem to be too interested, but yeah, Kane is the obvious choice, isn't he? Yeah. As for someone who, a strong link for Man United, because they've been linked with a lot of forwards, it's an obvious area of weakness, is Rasmus Højlund. Now, Højlund isn't necessarily the only striker they could sign. They could sign Højlund and Kane and have Højlund as a very capable backup. But I just think if you go and get Højlund for 40 million, that's a fantastic price to pay for someone who is your starting striker. It makes a lot of sense for me. I think his numbers are really good. I do think he's a little overhyped. I do find it weird how fans seem to be so hyped about him, and then I've seen so much criticism of Nicholas Jackson, when actually they're not too dissimilar in terms of not their play style, but their ability. Højlund is a Haaland type, not as quick, not as physical, but does possess both of those qualities. Great instinctive finisher as well. Helps with, well, he's Norwegian, so sounds like Haaland, so you might be able to fool a few people there by saying you've signed a Norwegian striker who starts with H, but
ends in D.
Yeah, ends in und. But yeah, I think for me, Højlund is a really good player and makes a lot of sense for this United system. Obviously, the ideal would be Harry Kane. I just don't see it happening. Or Victor Osimhen. Again, do not see it happening. But lots of options for United this summer. As for some predictions, then, we've ticked off a lot of players there. Do you think I did well with looking at players that make a lot of sense for United?
Yeah.
Okay. Predictions then. Where do you see United being next season? Are they able to fight in the Premier League title race? Are they still going to be in the Champions League spots, or do they slip down the order?
I think they'll be in an absolute dogfight for fourth.
You reckon?
Yeah. I don't think they'll touch the top two, maybe the top three. And then there'll be a couple of teams that they'll be fighting out with for that last Champions League spot.
I think they could definitely get third. I don't really see who's better than them other than Manchester City. And for me, it'll be Liverpool. I think they'll have a resurgence. I think United could definitely lay a claim to that third place. It all depends on how well Chelsea bounce back. It all depends on whether Arsenal can build on last season, whether they have a season of not necessarily regression, but stagnation, I would say. Yeah. So it very much depends on teams around them, but United, there's absolutely no reason why if they bring in a couple more players, they can't be fighting for the title. I mean, they're not miles off City, really, and I don't think Ten Hag's a bad coach by any stretch. So, for me, a couple of additions and you're looking at a title fight, I would say.
Maybe.
There's every chance United could fight for the title this year. So yeah, that's my personal sixpence on the matter. Where do you see them being? I mean, you mentioned dogfight for the fourth, yeah. What signing do you think would take them to that next level? Who do they need to be bringing in?
Has to be a world-class player. And you have to spend big on world-class players, but United don't do that. They spend big on Anthony and Harry Maguire.
They have in the past. Obviously, Anthony was a part of last summer's recruitment, so you could count that as Ten Hag era. But I think a lot of the signings under Eric Ten Hag have been very successful. I think Lisandro Martinez at 40 million was really good. I think Casemiro at 70 was slightly overpriced, but still a fantastic player at a great price. And they brought in Varane for free, and I think that was a great bit of business. So for me, they actually did really well with the business last summer, and I think they will continue in that light. So far, one signing, Mason Mount. I think that's a great bit of business to go and sign a young England international at just £60 million. Someone who could be starting for their side for the next sort of decade. So, yeah, for me, I think they'll continue to splurge, but not to spend on anything too stupid.
They need a world-class forward.
Yeah. Would an Osimhen, a Kane, is that the sort of
I think you have to spend big on them. You can't
Obviously,
afford to go cheap on someone that isn't as good. You need, if you want a challenge track, if you actually want to win something, you have to go big.
But could they go Kane and Højlund?
Maybe.
But does that then mean they can't spend as much in other areas?
I think just Højlund is a gamble. I think you have to go big on Kane or Osimhen.
Every sounds a gamble, but yeah, I would say Højlund, given his lack of Prem experience and the fact he's not proven in this league.
Just chuck 120
he's not really proven, to be fair, at all in world football. I wouldn't chuck 120 million. I think you'd be massively overpaying for a year that's only got a player that's only got a year left on his deal. I mean, they'd negotiate a lot more intelligently than just throwing cash. But yeah, I think if you could get him 100 eventually, worked up to that, I think that would be a good price. But yeah, that is everything for today. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's episode. I think it's been a good discussion about Manchester United. But yeah, if you have enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. And if you're new around here, do please hit subscribe. We are on the road to 2.5k. We've been smashing out these videos daily at the moment, so we really appreciate if you could subscribe to show that this has all been very much worth it. But yeah, that is everything for today. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time.
See ya.